Okay. I think it's working. Okay, there we go. Finally. Jeez. It is extremely counterintuitive getting YouTube to work. Okay, cool. There we go. All right. Now we can sit here and actually draw. Got to keep this moving. It's the wrong layer. Let me just delete that. Need to work on mop here. I think the back needs to go over here. Shoulder needs to go more here. There we go. That's better. Looks a little bit more natural to have the back up here. Probably want to economize that line some. Might need to just kind of redraw this all later anyway. All right, so we got Mop. He's gonna be yelling at his sister. I think we'll put the horizon line like back. Okay. Let me delete that. It's gonna just cause problems. Put the horizon line like pretty high. So he's gonna be here. We're gonna be looking like here, I think. That should be about right. Cool. Let's see. Should probably see a little bit of teeth there. Let's see. In the background, we should have the lady. We should finish more of the ground grid too. Maybe the lady's moved and she's like over here. Hunched over to her work. Bending down. Putting stuff in the bag. Yeah, let's do that. I think that we can move her anywhere technically, but put her here. That'd be fine. She should be probably a little bit bigger. Maybe she crops off here. Nah, she needs to be over there because she's not going to be part of this conversation, really. Maybe she should be kind of behind. I don't know. Let's just start there. See what happens. above the background too, we should have some other elements. Okay. Maybe we'll see the house in the background here, or like a little piece of it. Should be made of kind of more randomized stones here. Not so perfect. Should have some sort of like rubble on the ground line. Background should probably also have should probably have some shadow there. Likely we need like hills in the background and stuff. And then we need our like line of bramble and stuff growing out here. In which case, I don't think the lady would be there. She's going to be elsewhere. Chilling over there, blending in with the house. Probably better. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is kind of building up the scene a little bit better. Got some more line work that we can do. Should just be some more like some texture on the ground. Tie this lady's drawing down a little bit more. There we go. Something like that should work. All right, cool. Delete that layer. Oh no, I shouldn't delete it. Should just be the old transparent layer. There we go. Cool. That's a lot better. So we need to make a mop folder here. So we need to add individual layers of stuff. I'll start with the super lassoing. All right, cool. Got a base layer for mop. Whoops. Need a base layer for the lady here. Pick that up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so we got the lady, we got the background. And then we don't need this anymore because we're gonna be fine on that progression. But under the line layer, we're gonna have to work several layers here. All right, above that, we're gonna have, oops, hold on. Layer 7 doesn't have anything on it. Cool. This layer, we can go a little darker and add in the house here. And then we'll do a dark side of the house like this. Put it in shadow just a little bit. It's a Miss DG. Hi there. Took me a while to get YouTube working today. It's a little bit strange. Integration is not seamless. All right, now, okay, so that's that little area. Need to get the, good. Need to get the bramble going. Probably start with a crazy shape like that for the background. With the shadow side. Now we're gonna do, okay, so that's that. Then we need a foreground layer. It's darker. It's a little more careful. That wasn't sharp and spiky at all. That was kind of loopy, which we don't want. Okay, that looks better. It's just a default, and then we need like a ground gradient. So we're gonna just create a selection here. Then we're gonna go like dark to, go once the bucket filled that. I think that's too dark for what we set up. Might need to go more like that. That's a little better. All right, we don't need the textures in here. Let's look back at previous panels. Cool. I think we need to add some value stuff in the mop layer here. Just gonna do that, and then get a brush out and do some painting. So let's see, he was like that, so pretty sure this is all going to be in shadow at this point because he turned so far. This part's going to be in shadow as well. And start picking up a little bit of highlight on the shoulder there. This will be in shadow largely, I think. Make some shadow in here. And then we need some light to go in here. I'm gonna need something very dark as well. Kind of get into these. Maybe not 100% black, but we got to get into these shadows too. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. A couple here. Shadows like that. And the appropriate contrast range now. Probably want like a little teeny highlight on the eye here. Maybe not there, but above that, above the line layer, because that's too. Probably too stark. Need a different brush for it, probably. Like this one. That'll do. And then we'll do like effecty things with the smoke. Yeah. So this is our particle. So we're doing multi-layer particle stuff. So basically we just need particles in the front and the midground. So we got to go here, do this. Oops. So this will be behind mop, and we're just going to do super bright, super dark, and right in the middle. That's our ash particles. Then we go to blur. That. We also need to take our background layer of that and probably just like lighten the line work some. Same thing with the lady here. So she doesn't take up. We don't need her to be the focus. She's not the point. He is. So we just need to be cognizant of that. Then we need some smoke effects behind mop as well. Can't remember which one we were using. I think we were using this one because it was kind of nice. But making it real big. And then we had some like some light values in there and some dark values because the smoke is like chokingly black. And then we were using like that gross yellow as part of it too. And then we're going to put probably some of that in front of mop also. Just to have some texture, but probably not as big. That's two. And then probably more particles up front as well. Let's go back to that particle brush. Make it bigger. It's already huge. We're going to go to that. Hit it a couple of times. Then hit our blur. There. Boom. Then we have this thumbnail. This should work out okay. After this one, I think I need to actually renumber that. So this one's going to be next, and then after this, I think Mop has to go over, show her what to do a little bit better, and then they get into a little tiff or argument, and we go from there. Cool. Cool. There we go. Let's see. So that's our thumbnail. Lower that opacity down. Cool. Let's see. So we have our kind of a loose sketch of the character from one of the previous panels, like 2 panels ago, 2 or 3 panels ago. And she kind of has this like sharper chin. The hood's a little bit sharper. She's super skinny and kind of emaciated because they don't have any food. So our head shape's going to change just a little bit here. I feel like the cliche is to always use like a head shape like this for characters, you know, where that kind of just like sticks out and forward like that. For characters that are young and kind of innocent. But I don't think this is the story for that kind of deal. I think in the story, this girl is kind of an idiot, like, and not in a naive and good way. She's just like extremely she's like kind of privileged to her own detriment. Did I give her a specific eye shape or no? I don't think that I did. Not really. The shot was too far away to give her a specific eye shape. But here we can kind of get into it. It's not gonna work. Nope, that doesn't look good. Maybe what I need to do is like draw the head and move it into place. She shouldn't look angry though. And that line is too straight. Has to be kind of curved like that. There, that's better. Let's move that over here. And then keep drawing. She had a hood on. And her hair is going to spill out. So you're not going to be able to see her ear or anything like that. Sitting a little arm, and in the previous, she was looking like kind of sitting a little bit cross-legged or something. So we're gonna kind of end there. So I'm gonna see kind of like that, and then maybe like she's got her hand out like this, the glove on there, thumb coming out, hand like that. It's okay for the hand, I think, to get cut off there. And then we need subsequent background layers. We'll have continue the house over here that we had in the other shot. The little window and everything. And it's stone textures. And then we'll have kind of this layer going through it. think maybe we'll put some like some sacks of stuff. Like like some bags of these seeds tied up. For destruction later. Because they would be like at least semi organized about it, I would think. And then beyond that, we're gonna have like more of that sort of mountainy stuff in the background. Stuff kind of rolling down the hills. Cool. So I get it turned off. And then we're gonna create folders for everybody. Foreground folder. And then I think she was a lighter value. Yeah, she was kind of pale. So she stood out a little bit more in the previous one. So she's gonna be like this value probably. Okay, and that's gonna be the building, as well as the layer in front of that. Just make that this kind of and then we need a folder for the background. And this is gonna be real light. And I'm on the wrong layer, of course. Cool. And then we want to do a background gradient just for that area of the ground. So we're going to select an area, hit the gradient tool, do like this. And then we got to get some shadows onto the rain here. Hmm. Let's see here. Yeah. So back to that brush, I think we wanted to use this brush again because that worked out pretty well as far as working on the character here. And then so we're gonna have shadows here. Probably make this brush smaller. Then we need to make that much smaller. Get some shadows in the face, mouth, under the nose. Then we probably need again just like a little teeny dot of highlight in the eyes. Just to kind of remind us, that she's there. And then I think we might need to go back and pick up some super dark values in her character. Just to kind of get everything established, keep it moody. Cool. Yeah, so now we're done there and we can do the sort of like textural inserts between everything. So we'll add, again, our standard texture palette that's been developed of just like, particulate for ash, kind of done small. Actually, just need to push really hard to get that value in. This whole world is just covered in ash, and then we blur it. Kind of a lot for the background, and then we add another layer behind that, and that's going to have our smoke effects with the little smoke brush we've been using, but we make this one really kind of big, like a couple thousand pixels. I go a little bit of white smoke. That's going to help highlight her. Use a little bit of black here and there. Build that out. A little bit of middle value, a little bit of this yellow, ugly yellow. Because the ash is super gross. And then we want to do that up in front so we can make it even more moody. Just super textural, you know? Make it a little smaller. Get some size variety in there. That got too dark, I think. And then going back in with a particle brush on the top as well. Again, we're gonna make that larger in size. And then blur it. But only slightly, because it is front layer. So we should be able to see it a little bit better. Then I think, whoa, that was not on the right. That needs to be 2 layers, because we have to be able to adjust these independently. Go back to the brush. So boom. Yeah, then we go filter, blur. That's pretty good. I don't like where that landed on her face though. That's a little better. And I think this is too opaque, so we can lower that opacity down. Just a hair. Same thing here. Because it's about the character, it's not about this texture. So now we got to get Mop to come over, which I don't have thumbnails for, and help her with this task of messing with all of this junk. So we don't want to go back to like a full wide shot, but I think it needs to be a full shot to have Mop come back over. Um, but I think before that I do that, I want to take a break real quick and come right back. All right. Hello, camera. Are you going to track? No? See if it'll track. It's supposed to track if you put your hand there. No? Okay. We'll just move the camera manually. I lost all the camera settings in the zoom. Okay, whatever. That's fine. We're gonna keep going. Next, we need to actually thumbnail this. The idea was that, like, Mop has to move over to the Rain and show her how to pick up these seeds properly. Because the seeds that they pick up are kind of dangerous. So I'm going to sketch out what that might look like. It's probably going to be, it's probably need to be like a full shot where, like, we have, you know, Rain. Whoa, okay. Where we have Rain over here, you know, sitting down all cross-legged and bored, you know, with her little pile of seeds. And then Mop kind of like shuffling over or something. But I don't think they should go super close together because I think they need to maintain some independence from each other. So it'd be kind of like this. And then maybe the house would come in. Maybe behind them like that. Somewhere there. That's probably all it needs to be. His little sack of seed pods is going to be here or something. Because these seed pods, if they explode, they send more seeds, and then that's problematic. I'm going to save this in order here. So I think this is going to be 80. Here's a very like old school computer numbering system, so I can insert numbers in between each other. Cool. If you're tuning in, feel free to say hi or lurk. No big deal. Ask questions. I'm just doing storyboard stuff based on this like novella slash short story compilation called The Tangled Lands, co-authored by Paolo Bacigalupi, who's one of my favorite like sci-fi fantasy writers, and Tobias Buckell, or Buckle, Buckell, Buckell, I guess is how you'd say it. Who I don't really know other than this. I'll have to read something that he's written. I don't know. Sometimes you read a book and you're gonna just see it. And I feel like the writing was so visual in this one that I could just like visualize every stage of the story, and every single, just the whole time. You know, I can't imagine that someone hasn't bought the film or TV show like rights yet. Just as like a speculative thing. But then I don't know if any of their other stuff is like has gotten picked up by studios or not. You would think The Water Knife by Bacigalupi would have been picked up because it's like so relevant. It's basically The Water Knife is basically about what's going to happen when Colorado runs out of water, or like that whole the Colorado River runs dry, which is already happening. Sort of like one of those 5 minutes into the future sort of books. So that's part one. And I think, let's see, what does the book say happens in this little section? She grabs a seed pod. It says Mop smacks her hand, not like that. And then he says to scoop it up from under and don't pinch it. And then he takes one of the seed pods, squeezes it, and the pod bursts open and seeds spray everywhere. And then it just kind of says, like, stop. Our boss doesn't tolerate incompetence. So he comes over and just says, he'll have to say something like, I think it should be in profile where he says something like, don't do that. Just be like, so that's kind of the note here. And then he's on left, so he should kind of take up this amount of space here. He's got kind of like round nose. I always put the ear in, even though I know that, like, it's not going to matter in this situation because, like, he's got the hood on. But I do it anyway just because, like, that's set to, that's not set far back enough. It should be set here. That. I always put the ear in just because it just, I don't know. I think it's a good way to anchor the face and understand where the jaw is. Because where the ear connects, that's where the jaw begins. I feel like the eye needs to move down a little, maybe. Mouth is open, so the jaw is going to move down, which changes the proportions a little bit. Anyway, hood's going to go here. And then that's going to eliminate all that. Got to be something like that. So that's going to be the thumbnail for that next shot of just like after the wide shot. And it's going to be like 80. We're going to make this like 82 just so we can insert one easily between if we need to. And then we need to have like, since this is a conversation, we just need like the flip side shot of that. And then, so if we figure out where he is here, so like 45, his eye is at like 40%. So we're going to put her eye at the 60% line on the opposite side. So when they have this like tit for tat argument, it'll kind of like work proportionally against each other. And then he's big and he took up most of that screen there. She's small, so the shot should be like a little bit different, and she should look smaller in it, so she won't take up as much room, I think. So his head was cut off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make hers like this. And she needs to just be like, what did I do wrong? Here goes away. Eyes too high. So this is like the what did I do wrong? I need to like refine an expression. Facial expression, like while in profile, is a little bit tough. What I'm kind of thinking is like when we flip between these shots, that they'll be in profile, and profile suggests psychological distance, but because they're going to be so close together in the like next to each other in the frame, or like the way that it flips from character to character is going to be really small. So I'm hoping that will show like a sense of intimacy and distance at the same time. So let's look at what it looks like a bridge when we flip between the two thumbnails. Actually, let me move bridge over here so we can just take a look at it. Yeah, so if we just flip back and forth. I mean, that looks right, to go from here to here to here. And then the next shot, I think, should be like of the seeds like popping. That could work pretty well, I think. This back up here. Do not have enough desk space for this. Okay. Now we need an insert shot of these of Mop demonstrating how these seeds pop and everything. All right, so let's see how that's going to work. So let's see. I mean, the basic idea is that we need like this little bag here. The sack is going to be kind of open and it's going to have some pods and junk in there. That's probably too, we just need to see into it. It might be too big anyway. But when you see his hand in there, which probably will be better if it's a left hand than a right, because if the right hand, we're just going to see the back. So here, he should be down low, so his hand shouldn't be, it shouldn't be like down like this. It should just be kind of over and maybe at like a slight angle. So arm will come in like this. Glove would be here. So you'd have the thumb like that, basically. That's a really bad glove, but that's okay. That gets the idea. Actually, let's change the angle. Let's take that. So we're looking at it more to the side. And then let's take this and move it up. So when he pops the seed, that we see them like actually drop into the thing. And we'll have that seed pod through here, right? And I think what we should do is like start here and then have it like close up and show them like squeeze the seed pod itself. So make this 8-6 here. Get a new panel going. All right, here we go. So this one, I think we need like a real close up of just. So maybe we'll have a hand pose kind of like this, where he's like really gonna pinch it just between like two fingers and needs to be kind of closed. That could be kind of cool. The thumb joint's about right there. And the thumb joint's kind of short. It goes like a little bit past like, so the first joint of the thumb goes like right there. So the thumb's gonna go like this. Then we want pinky here and ring here, you know? And then we want middle finger like this to come out, first finger to come out like this. We want to show like that pressure of the seed pot. That's like the wrong angle for the fingers though. It shouldn't. Fingers don't bend like this. Thumb can bend backwards a little bit, show the pressure, but the fingers have to go kind of like that. And then we'll have the seed pod come through like this. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. So this would be like part one. And then part two would take this. Kind of on kind of as like an onion skin here. Then we take this, compress this slightly. And then the seed pod is going to have to like bulge. And then eventually, frame three, this thing just pops. So the seed pod has to kind of like basically break open like this. Then we need like seeds to fly out. Seeds should be on a different layer. Because they're going to need to like motion blur or something. Maybe like a radio blur could work. Let's try that. Nah, that's bad. Yeah, that could work. Something like that. It'll have to be refined, you know. But basically what we'll have is we'll do a series of layer comps here. Just be like layer comp 1, there. Layer comp 2, there. Layer comp 3, there. No, and then we need to put the opacity back up. So when we click through, the shot should show boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And that'll be 88 here. Boom. And then we'll have to have another shot to like probably with both of them in it in profile as like a sort of a face-off shot where Mob just kind of says like don't mess up, which could be good. Because basically what we have is like a adult kid argument, except it's between like a young teen and a tween. You know, because the story does have consequences, you know. And the tween girl doesn't really understand, like Rain doesn't understand it at all. So what we need is like basically just like Mop here and Rain over here. So this would be kind of the wind up shot for this. And I think that should work. No, Mop would be like right here. Okay, just kind of says like don't mess up. Kind of bad drawing of him. They kind of have to be a little bit far apart here though too. Because I think, you know, in this story, like Mop genuinely cares about his sister, but you know, his sister's like determined to be stupid. something like that. And then, rain's smaller and over here on the other side. She's gonna be like, fine. Because ultimately, Rain doesn't understand and consequences happen. So we're gonna stick this before shot 90. So that'd be 89. Cool. I think that shot progression is okay. We can always add in between. But if we look through it in the whole context of everything, that should help like clear it up. Boom, boom. She says some junk. Oh yeah. He needs to show her how to do it correctly, which is like to scoop it up. We can return to this exact shot later. So I think what we do is here have it pop. He says something to her like, this is wrong. Or maybe what we do is like save this one. Yeah, we need more shots here because that's just not enough to like finish the exchange. And I think this might need to go further back. So we might have to like redo the numbering scheme here. Because we need need to make some room here. 82. So in between here, I think we need to like oops, didn't mean to do that. I want to bridge, so I want to rename. So it'd be 84. Then I think we need a single back on mop. It's like single, single. But maybe even more close up. I don't know. So on this one, I could be right here and just say like, hey, you did it wrong, something like that. See, that's basically the same shot we had before. I mean, something like that, where it's like even more cropped. Or just says like, do it like this, scoop from under, place in the thing. There we go. Then come back up for the next shot, and we thumbnail this out. And this needs to be of like him sort of like scooping up a seed pod from the ash to show her the safe way to go about this thing. Because remember, the seed pods themselves aren't really toxic, but like the seeds grow more bramble, and the bramble is toxic. So let's see here. We need to be basically like looking down at the hand like this. And then the thumb comes up like that. I mean, I think fingers are a little bit too big relative to the palm there. Because this would be the end distance, so we'd need to double that there. So we've got more here. But see, it can't be like a straight on. It has to be like in perspective a little bit because we need to see this like scooping, right? That's the basic proportion of the hand. Maybe we can do like a distortion and get to kind of look like that and then modify it and show the side. Nah, it's not gonna work. So that's our basic hand proportion. We're just gonna move that like up. So here we need to show basically like pinky side of the hand, the thumb coming up. And then the thumb, we'll be showing more like the bottom of the thumb like that, right? So we need to show like the overlap here. whenever I'm having to improvise and draw a super specific hand pose like this, I wind up drawing them a lot, like just over and over and over until I get it. And then we got that, and then what we're gonna have is like, a grayed out pile of ash in here. And then like the ash is gonna get sifted down and drop through, leaving like the seed pod on top. Little spiky seed pod. So that's gonna like be the way that he shows her how to do this properly. Something like that. And then behind this, we're gonna have like kind of the ground here. Going like this. Something like that, I think. Maybe that's not big enough on the screen. Maybe it needs to be like just bigger, chunkier. So we might take this and just go. I mean, I think that's better. Yeah, I think it's better as a thumbnail. And then we can have the stuff sift through as a, I guess, done as layer comps. So this is gonna be the shot that's kind of just like let it sift through fingers. Kind of to go along with that dialogue. And then I think we have to do like 2 more shots to really finish it because we need him to say like see, and then which we can return to this shot. And just be like, see? And we'll save this as the next shot after that one. 87. And then we can reuse this shot 82. We can just say, she can just be like, fine. In a sort of tweeny way. That'd be 88. There we go. And then we can do the this shot where he just says, don't mess up. And then he is going to have his careless encounter with the seed pods. So we can like scroll through this and see how the shot progression is going. Just to make sure that this is all right. So then boom. Mop is sorting through junk. He's picking up things. It's ashy. The wide shot. He's coughing. The old lady says like, hey, you're a rich, hey, rich kid, shape up. She says some junk. He kind of says some stuff back to her. She's complaining. He comes over to help her, says, don't do it like that. She's like, what did I do wrong? He's like, here, if you pick it up and you squeeze, the seeds go everywhere. That's bad. And he says, let it sift. Pick it up from the bottom, see? And she says, fine. And he says, don't mess up. And then he goes back to his tasks. We're just going to push in on him sweating. And then he's going to like start to wipe his brow. And he realizes there's a tendril on it. And he gets like freaked out and scared. And then so he's going to pick up this little tendril. She's going to say something. And he's going to drop that tendril and let it float to the ground. And then she's going to start yawning. I think we'll have another shot after this with the old, like, lady in it. He's going to say something, and then she's going to pass out, and that'll be the end of the scene. Brutal. And then she goes into a coma in the story, and then disappears or something like that.
It's a cruel world
that these kids inhabit. So but yeah, this is coming along. So I think now it's time to go in and just like keep refining the shots that we have, and then compile them, add them to the website. Also want to change the shape of the house in this one. The house isn't really in perspective here, and it's this group. So what I want to do is basically take this section and do a new layer via cut here. So what that does is it takes the line and separates that out, and do the same thing here. And then layer, new layer via cut. So those are on their own thing, these two. And then what we're going to do is transform that, and we're going to distort and basically put this into 2-point perspective by doing this. So, and then we're going to select that layer and do Control-Shift-Alt-T. Piece the transformation. There we go. That way it feels like we've just sort of like turned the camera a little bit, because this shot previous, it's kind of more on him, and then the angle that we're showing her, it shouldn't be in 1-point perspective, right? And then we have this shot to work up now. Oh, there's this guy. How's it going? So I actually do like proper drawing. These kids here. Hang on. Everything's tangled up on the desk. 1 second. There we go. So this thumbnail is like pretty workable because we kind of get like an idea of where everything is. But we just got to tie it down. So Mop's got his hood here. So he's got his glove on. We're not really going to see Mop's face very much. We'll see his little hair, his hair kind of poking out. So his mop of hair, literally. I think he's going to sit on his heels here. Something more like that. Let's put his elbow back here. Make the feet a little bit bigger. Get him more in proportion here. And then we'll see a little bit more of like the sister Rain's face here. But only like a slight amount. So they're got characters. They've got their little sacks there. So that's a character layer. Let's do line layer for the building back here. I think we'll make that building go totally across like that. We'll have the little brick and stone texture in. And this will just be ground, so that's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to add another group here, sweet background layer. I'm going to do background gradient. Layer 4 in here, then we're going to do this. This will be our house layer. And then we need a character layer. We're gonna do this for mob. There we go. And then I think we'll include this in the character layer because it doesn't need to be any more complicated than it is. Actually, I'm gonna make this one lighter because that was kind of the color coding that we were doing earlier. I turn that opacity way down now. And then we can do probably just like a quick ground gradient. And I can probably just establish that for now. Maybe we go this way instead. And then I don't think we need to do ash like behind anything, but what we do is we put it in front to do our like textural effects. And then with this group, we're just take this line and make it lighter. Because so we're gonna do top layer, of course, with the particulate, like doing like this. We need to make a couple of different sizes of it. So it shows like it's at different depths and stuff. And then we're gonna blur it. So it's all in motion, and then we're gonna lower the opacity. We're gonna make this one kind of big as well. So start with some black smoke here. Get some grays in there. Some lights. And definitely some of that yellow in there too. And then lower the opacity so it's not as stark. And then probably we need a shadow under the characters, I think. So we'll just take this this brush here and kind of create like a ground shadow here. That should work. Coming along. Cool. I think that's where I'm going to call it for the day, for the stream. Go do some other things. I think we'll do some more streams. Maybe we'll do some just pure figure drawing stuff later. I just want to review where the progress is so far on this. Bring Bridge up and just do that preview thing. Here we go. Boom. 1. Mop is sifting through stuff, looking for seeds. He finds a seed. We're showing the care that he takes. He's kind of thoughtful in his concentration world. Then we show the world of how like ashy and crappy it is. And then of course we have to have Mop coughing, you know. And the old lady talking trash to him and his sister's reaction. And then his reaction back to his sister. He has to admonish her for doing it wrong and then show her how it's done correctly. Shows what happens if the pod breaks, sends seeds everywhere, and the job gets way harder. You gotta pick it up without breaking the pod. Then he goes back to work. He gets sweaty. We're gonna push in and like do like a little close up on him and just show like the sweat dripping into his eyes. And then he's gonna go to like wipe his brow like that, and then realize that he's almost gonna put himself to sleep. That. And then he has to like, sister's gonna say something, he removes that, then his sister falls asleep. And I think in there somewhere we're gonna have, probably in between here and here, we're gonna have that lady talk trash again. But yeah, that's it, it's coming along. Got a lot of progress, like filling in gaps and putting in details. You know, adding in the rest of this is kind of clutch to show what's really gonna happen. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do more streams because that's a good way to keep me honest about doing stuff, and I enjoy it and I want to show people kind of like what I'm working on, what the process looks like. We're gonna do some, I think we're gonna institute figure drawing Fridays where you just practice figure drawing with me. I have some references that I can use, so we'll go from there. Thanks a lot everybody and take care.